It's been a rough camp for the Texans offense. No doubt about that. But the offensive rookies, led by Airontae Ersery, excelled on the final day of training camp before Houston's trip to West Virginia. What does that mean before Houston's first preseason game next Saturday?
You are Locked On Texans, your daily podcast on the Houston Texans. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
From H-Town to your town, Battle Red Nation, today's episode and every episode is for Texan fans all around. Thank you for our new listeners. Thank you for the everydayers coming back to listen to me, John Hickman, your credential media member and Texans football analyst. Today's episode is all about what's happening next to get ready for Saturday's preseason game. The Texans take a trip to West Virginia. What does that mean? What are we looking forward to seeing come out of that trip? Camaraderie, chemistry. But overall, offensively, I think we're on the same page. We want to see how it all comes together. There is a unique tight end room here in Houston, according to Dalton Schultz. What does that mean? And we'll hear from Dalton as well on that. But I want to open up today's episode just looking at the rookies signing Saturday before Houston took their trip to West Virginia, led by Airontae Ersery. Before diving into that, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. The rookie class this year compared to 2024, I can't wait for you guys to hear from D'Amico Ryans. A big difference in, I think, the vocalness, maybe the attitude as well. But the one thing that we cannot hide from is the Texans will need players in this rookie class to be productive. And I want you guys to hear from D'Amico Ryans on his thoughts on the rookie class at this point in camp.
Our rookies are very dialed in. Every one of those guys, Tay, Woody, Jalen Smith, both receivers, Jalen, each one of those guys, they make plays every single day. Right? And they fit right into what we're building here. They fit right in of what we expect of them, what we ask of them. They show up, they work hard. Those guys don't say much, and they continue to get better every day. So I'm excited really to see these guys get an opportunity to play in some preseason games. When they really get a chance to cut it loose, I'm excited to see that for them.
Preseason confirmed. That's great, right? Shout out to D'Amico Ryans confirming that. I also want to make some jokes at the 2024 class. They came in, those guys were just a different energy, a group of energy that they provided to us in the media, to you guys, fans, and just what they carried on the field in terms of the 2025 class. You know, like D'Amico said, it was just a much more quieter class. But that doesn't take away from what the expectation is for the 2025 class. And that is for Higgins, Noah, Ersery, Marks. That is for those guys to be Jalen Smith. That is for those guys to be very impactful, not only in their position groups, but also just overall together. And that's where we have to start today, because I really thought from an offensive standpoint, rookies, Airontae Ersery and running back Woody Marks had the best and most consistent day of training camp Saturday. And from a defensive perspective, I walked away from camp extremely impressed by rookie cornerback Jalen Smith. You know, Ersery's and Mark's success is tied to each other, right? One got to block, one got to run. The first team offensive line showed the ability to win their reps against first team defense. Mark showed flashes of why Houston liked him so much. He had several explosive run on a day, showcasing not only good acceleration to get out of those holes, but also not a lot of wasted foot movement, and hit the hole for big gains at different times throughout the day, but they were not as seldom as previous practice. And I thought that was extremely encouraging. And with Ersery, man, I'm sure you guys are going to like this. Ersery is growing up right in front of our eyes. This kid has all of the potential in the world to fill the talent void Laremy Tunsil left behind once he got traded to Washington. Also, it was just a better day from the offensive line altogether. So I think that's very important news. In my notes, Ersery won several reps against first-team defense out on the edge. I thought rebounded very well after each rep, didn't live in a rep before the next. I thought that was important. a more consistent day from a technique and hand placement perspective. There was one point during practice where Titus Howard, who's done a very good job in terms of taking on that leadership role, dapped him up right before the snap. And dapped him up right before the snap. Ersery goes out there and wins a rep against Danielle Hunter. And by no means, there was no pads on the day. It was in shells. But by no means has Danielle or Will taken it easy on these guys at any point during camp, especially Will Anderson. He won back-to-back reps, and it shouldn't go without saying that there were several reps this week against Will and Danielle in pads where Ersery got the better of those two. So I think that's very encouraging. Here's something that is also encouraging. Well, here's why that's encouraging. Obviously, Houston needs Tay. That's what D'Amico Ryans calls it. They need Airontae to work out as their recent offensive line draft picks haven't panned out to this point, right? And Blake Fisher, I think, is still in his learning phase. There are some things from a technical standpoint that Blake could really benefit from just being better at before they put him out on the field. Preseason will be extremely important for him. But for Woody Marks, if you take a look around the league at 1K rushers, there's a good amount of late round picks. Good amount of guys, right? Woody could eventually be that for the Texans, but for the immediate year, he is showing his value as a young back with 5 years of college experience, by the way. We should snuff at that. But showing that he can be valuable to this team in the run game and the passing game this year. And more importantly, given the state of the running back room, he'll be able to be trusted on the field. So that's why I like what I saw from Marks on Saturday. Again, no pads for the Houston Texans. Those guys are getting ready to get on the plane and head to Greenbrier, West Virginia. But you got to take the good and bring it. I got to take the good and bring it to you guys. And I thought that Marks had some moments in camp where maybe he was a little bit more valuable in the passing game. The offensive line, for the most part, has struggled to create good running creases. But from what I saw, when the creases were there, Marks took advantage of it. Not a lot of dance, not a lot of tap dancing back there, man. And you can't really tap dance with this offensive line group. You got to get in where you fit in and get up the field. That's what I like the most about what I saw from Woody Marks, guys. And listen, rookie cornerback Jalen Smith has really impressed me the moments I've seen them. My worry of who will be the third outside cornerback, Stingley, Kamari Lassiter, who's going to be that third guy, is slowly being put to rest. That conversation is slowly dying off for me. Houston has got him out there lining up on whoever. Not only is he not scared to get out there, but he's also making plays. He's won reps against Jade Higgins, a few interceptions in camp to this point. I like how Houston is deploying him, and I think he's only going to get better, and he's going to add some real value and competition to who's going to be the outside third cornerback. Tremont Smith has also had a good camp, so we'll see how that competition plays out. Now, the unit that was very underwhelming in 2024, they got somebody back. The unit that has been solid this camp and will help Houston get over the early growing pains. Next up, the tight end talk here on the Locked On Texans podcast. Don't know where, we got more Texan talk. Sometimes we need some energy. And when we need that energy, you know who we can call on? Who can we run to? 5-Hour Energy. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this is a hole-in-one for your energy game. Let's be honest, some days when you're out there on the course, or if I'm speaking specifically for me, I'm out there at training camp. When I'm off it, I just need an extra boost to stay sharp and energized. And that's where the 5-Hour Energy Transfusion comes into play for me. Golf, work, training camp is all about good times with good people, right? Yeah, that's what it's about, especially golf. Golf is all about good times with good people. and good flavors, of course. The grape ginger lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse to go to, without chasing down the Bev card. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is number 5energy.com, you can use my promo code Locked On Golf to receive 20% off your order. The offer is only valid through September 30th on one order and cannot be used with another promotion. The code is not good for subscription orders. So, get in where you fit in, guys. Whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get energized. Get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion flavored 5-hour energy shots today. Welcome back in, Locked On Texans listeners and viewers. Back to the training camp discussions from what I saw on Saturday. We'll be talking about the uniqueness of the tight end room. But before we dive into that, I have some more notes that I want to share from my eyes to your ears. I thought the last couple of days, the second half of Friday and Saturday, all day Saturday, I thought Nick Chubb looked better. He is doing everything he can to get his wind back under him, even when plays are being stuffed at the line of scrimmage or maybe for a 2 or 3 yard gain. He's still bursting through, running through, getting his legs back. I think preseason is going to be good for him, and hopefully it'll be good to him. Houston needs Chubb to have a solid showing. And listen, this is something that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about. Jalen Thomas has been having a solid camp. He's been playing some left guard. And let me just say this, man. I would like to see some run with first team. We at camp, we'll get that in the preseason game, but they've talked about competition a lot coming into camp. Thomason hasn't been just a clear-cut favorite and better than Thomas. So I would like to see that competition brew a little bit more. For those of you that wonder why Andrews over Jared Patterson this past week, it seems to be more locked in. I'm talking about on Locked On, but more solidified that Andrews is going to be the option at center over Patterson. And Patterson hasn't been, bad, but I think the edge seems to be leaning towards Andrews because of the support Andrews offers in the run game. Very good base, solid combo blocker, and looks to get upfield, but also looks to have a little bit better chemistry with C.J. Stroud, which is kind of odd simply because Andrews just got here to Houston not that long ago. Patterson's been here, but he may just be the better option from a mental standpoint and also from what they're looking to add in the run game, which is extremely important to Nick Caley in this offense. Now, let's talk about the tight ends. First, let's hear from Dalton Schultz talk about the uniqueness of this tight end room and what he's looking forward to Nick Caley adding to this unit. Especially having Brandon Jordan back out there practicing with you guys.
Yeah, dude, we got a really good group of 6 guys, really. I think Brevin brings y'all saw Cleveland a couple years ago. That dude's fast. He brings something that me and Cade maybe don't quite have in terms of just raw speed. And dude, Brevin looks so good. He's watching him run, he looks like I'm excited for him just to see him put together a full year. The kid looks fast. And so I think between, I already talked about Cade, but between us three, we're very unique in what we bring and what we offer. And I'm really excited to see Caley, who's got a very strong tight end background, how he kind of employs different guys in different spots and doing the things that might suit us well.
We'll close with DJ.
And how he may employ different guys in different spots. That is all I've been saying when speaking about Nick Caley and this tight end room, right? You look at where the unit was last year, and a lot of time just they were asked, Dalton Schultz was asked to do things that that's not his thing. That is not what he does. That is not what makes him good. That is not why Houston signed him to that 3-year extension. That is not why. But to hear Dalton Schultz say, how he's going to kind of employ different guys in different spots, man, and what suits us well, like that is why I am optimistic about this unit this year. And Dalton Schultz spoke glowingly about Brevin Jordan and what he adds to this team. He also mentioned Cade Stover and his improvement, highlighting strength, speed, size, and knowledge of the game. He highlighted the fact that, hey, listen, that kid was playing defense a while ago. So, that was a learning curve, but that defensive background has helped him out transition into a better tight end in year 2, mentioning that he looks way more comfortable. But that's what you want to hear, guys. Essentially, so the best non-red zone moments from this offense were plays where the team got the ball out quickly, or moments where the Texans offense operated within a under 10-yard strike zone. Underneath, this is where I believe in seeing the tight end unit make plays, including rookie Luke Lachey, who's been out there, and they like him a lot. Whether it was Brevin Jordan on the mesh route, using that speed to get open to maybe cut up field, getting the ball out quickly to Schultz. And, of course, having him do things that he is completely comfortable doing, or getting the ball out to Cade in the flats or in an out route and just letting him cut up field. And, by the way, from a fluidity standpoint, I really like and see the change in Cade Stover. This unit has an OC who is going through his own set of growing pains while working with a quarterback who was going through his own set of growing pains. And they share some of those growing pains. And so for a new situation in a high-stakes environment, because let's face it, the Houston Texans are one of the best 4 or 5 teams in the AFC right now. It's a high-stake window that they're operating in. It's going to be important for Nick Caley, who is new, to find some sort and some sense of relief and comfortability. And there's no better way to do that than my background has Gronkowski. My background has, multiple successful tight ends that I've helped coach, and I've understood ways to get them involved, but not only getting the ball into their hands, but also how to use them on the field. He is going to take this tight end unit, and especially with the availability of Brevin Jordan, like I think he is a true X factor for that team, for that unit, simply because there was times where I'm seeing him line up out wide. He was way out wide. The one thing I expect to see and to be consistent is Nick Caley finding unique ways to involve his group of tight ends. I talked to tight end coach Jake Moreland, who said, listen, it's been a blast working with Nick Caley. I want my guys to be utilized more, right? And when you have a team that Christian Kirk is new on the outside, slot player, but he's new for wide receiver, 2 rookies that are at the wide receiver position, Berrios, Watson, right? Really, so far to this point, have we seen a lot of consistency from C.J. Stroud on connections with players that are not named Nico Collins? It's only been Christian Kirk. There's been up and downs with C.J. Stroud, and I'll talk about why I think that's happening, but there's been up and downs with Stroud downfield. So when you have an offense that's new, that has still question marks on the offensive line, don't know if you're going to be able to run the ball as successfully as you wanted to, I'm a keen believer in you can supplement the run by dinking and dunking your way to 3rd and 4. You can do that. What better way to do that than a tight end unit that can foot speed, outrun a linebacker, Brevin Jordan, right? Smart, when you line him up to do things that he's capable of doing, a smart veteran tight end going into nearly year 10 in Dalton Schultz. And then you do have this unique tight end in Cade Stover, who is still young to the group, but has clearly shown major improvements, guys. Cade is going to be looked upon as a player that can also be an X factor because there isn't a lot of knowledge on what he can and can't do. So I love that from Dalton Schultz, and I love the fact that what we had and the listeners and us in the media when they didn't necessarily prioritize a tight end in the draft, and they stuck with Dalton Schultz, and even some of you guys that were upset that they gave him the extension coming into this offseason, where was the, I guess, respectable, how did you respect that unit? A lot of us, including myself, Noah Fant was released a couple of weeks ago. I said, hey, maybe Houston should call around and see if he wants to come try out for Houston. Maybe they should call Atlanta and see what's going on with Kyle Pitts. But clearly, there's a plan in place for this tight end unit, and I can't wait to see it come about. Now, the tight end unit, want to see what their plan looks like, want to see what the offensive plan is going to look like to get some of these rookies involved. What does the Texans' trip to West Virginia mean? And what should we expect to see once they take the field next Saturday at 3 o'clock? That's the conversation that we're going to have on this show to close out today's episode. Before we close out today's episode, get ready. Get ready because we got some games coming up, man. Y'all ain't excited enough. Astros just traded for Carlos Correa. He's coming back home. He hadn't won some games. It's always good to get out to the ballpark. And hey, listen, if you've ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with family and friends, it's okay because it's game day and you realize, you know what? I want to be out there. I want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes into play. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, and even invite a bigger group to come out with you. Game Time makes it all possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to the first pitch. And they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and the lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. I use it. You should too. I'm stamping it. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Welcome back, Locked On Texans listeners and viewers. Man, we are a week away from the Houston Texans' first training camp, preseason game, excuse me. Again, this is taking place Saturday, 3 o'clock, NFL Network. They're taking on the Minnesota Vikings. And okay, what are we looking forward to seeing? What are we looking forward to seeing? One thing that I hadn't mentioned, and I think it's important because we overlook this guy a lot. We overlook this one guy a lot, this one player a lot. And when you look around the NFL, one conversation that league execs have all the time when building the roster is make sure you have a solid, trustworthy backup quarterback. And Davis Mills, I think, has really done a very good job of demonstrating what a trustworthy backup quarterback looks like. He has. And so I can't wait to see some Davis Mills. Mills Mafia! Let me hear you say, yeah. But there are some things that I want to see coming out of that first game, right? And let's be fair about this, man. The Texans organization, they do a very good job connecting with the fans. Something that I think we talk about it a lot, but it's extremely important. But they're not going to put it all out in front of the fans. They're not going to pull it all out. They're not. They're not going to – everything that they work on, they're not going to put it out. And so for the Texans, I think getting away from the fans, getting away from family, friends, like just getting to solely football, focusing solely on football is going to be extremely important for the development of this offense. No doubt about it. I am being fair with my assessment right now on the offense, more so on CJ Stroud, because I see a quarterback that I think is a little bit tired right now in terms of what he's having to take in and process and put out at a very fast rate. A very fast rate. This isn't cause for burn the building down. CJ's not ready, right? This isn't none of that. This is also CJ Stroud having to do that with at practice, from what I've seen and from what you guys have seen, who's lined up, you amazing fans who've lined up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go out there, having to process while still intaking, while trying to deliver a pass with both of his edges collapsing down. That's hard. So when we talked to CJ Stroud on Saturday, man, he just looked like with the heat. And brother also wore a beanie during that heat. I don't know what that's about. That may be a counting thing. I don't know. But he looks like it's taking a toll on him. This is what he asked for. And I think that once it all comes together, it's going to look better. And I think what I want to see coming out of this trip away, going into that first preseason game against the Minnesota Vikings, 3 o'clock next Saturday, and coming out of it, I want to see CJ out there on the field. I want to see the starters all together, but I want to see more comfortability from CJ Stroud. And I think comfortability for CJ Stroud right now should be a little bit more focused on getting that ball out to beat the pressure. So quick, decisive decisions. I want to see the center position solidified. And I think, to be fair, I think it is right now. I think Andrews has the edge over Patterson. I think Patterson is going to be a solid backup for the Houston Texans. That makes Kenyon Green, Juice Scruggs, Jared Patterson. I'm not going to say Blake Fisher yet, but that makes several of the offensive linemen that the Houston Texans drafted since Nick Caserio's arrival, backups, or in one case, a guy that is out of town. So I want to see that, but I also want to see the offensive scheme have some more consistency and come together. What does that look like? And with that, the roles that some of these players will have. Dalton Schultz just mentioned it, how will they, kind of employ certain guys in certain situations and play to their strengths. That looks different, but not only for the tight end group, but also for the wide receivers. Right? So that's important. And I want to see if we should have the conversation, if that should be sparked. If Joe Mixon isn't out there and if Dameon Pierce isn't out there, and he hasn't been out there, ready to go for week 1, is Nick Chubb the answer, or is rookie Woody Marks going to cut it? Is he the answer at RB1, and should Nick Chubb be reserved to the RB2 role? And with that being said, the fight for Jawar Jordan on this roster, who I think has had some decent moments, and I think preseason will be a great moment, a great opportunity for him to build on some of those moments. He didn't have the best of preseasons in 2024, though he did catch the ball fairly well. I think he had 21 carries for 55 yards, 2-point-something yards per carry. That ain't going to cut it in the NFL. That'll get you cut in the NFL. But obviously he's looked better. Houston likes him a lot, enough to keep him around. And so, what value does he add to this running back room that still has some, question marks surrounding it? If Joe Mixon isn't ready to go for week 1, and right now, currently, he's still slated to be ready for week 1, what does that look like for the guys that have to step up and step in and play ball? Thank you for listening to this episode of the Locked On Texans podcast. Please be sure to subscribe, like, and comment on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast. Follow me on Twitter at John_E Hickman 12. But until next time, ladies and gents, Texas fans across the nation. Peace.